Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Okay, where are we last week Dah tak siapa-siapa ingat. Anybody can recall which slide? Which slide are we last week? You're done, right? This one done, right? Anybody can help me to recall? This one done, I guess. This one done. This one? Are we done on this one? Anybody? Apalah, susah sangat nak bercakap ni.
Rasa macam belum kot doktor yang ni.
Ini belum Ini belum yang ni Kat sini dah, right? Yang this one dah kan? Confidence interval.
Yang last week saya rasa last yang tail. Saya rasa yang ni macam dah.
Macam dah. So yang ni belum kan? Effect size Okay, apa kita proceed kat sini. Thank you, Nick. Okay, so next one is the effect size. Okay, so effect size ni the discussion we will use when we the effect size ni we use when in three situations. Sorry, in three situations, but for your level in two situations. Okay, the first one, the effect size ni we will use if you run the comparison analysis. Okay, effect size we use in two situations at your level. Okay, if you are at the advanced level, you will use at three different cases. Okay, the first one we will use effect size ni when you use the statistical that involve comparison. Okay, comparison between group. For example, you use t-test, either independent sample t-test or dependent sample t-test, or you use two-way ANOVA, one-way ANOVA. Means that if you want to compare between groups, okay, so then you will use effect size. The second situation, you use effect size ni when you want to determine the relationship. Either when you use the Pearson product moment correlation or Spearman rank order correlation, or when you use the regression. Okay, so effect size ni is a measure of magnitude. Okay, kalau if let's say we use the significant alpha to determine either the differences are significant or not, then that's it. But the effect size ni will determine if the difference is significant, so how much is the significant? Okay, either the significant is large, moderate, or low. Okay, so effect size ni is the amount of something, which is how much. Okay, so effect size ni dia determine the magnitude or the size of the relationship, size of differences, size of influence. Okay. It operates in two spheres. Dia dah tunjuk dah kat sini. It measures of difference, as what I said just now. If you are interested to determine the difference between the two group A and group B, for example. So first we know that there is a difference between the two groups when we use the significant value. After we compare the significant value against alpha, then we know that there is a significant difference. Okay, and then next one. Now, bila kita dah tahu ada significant difference, then we want to know how much is the difference. Same goes to measures of association. So it operates in two situations. The first one, measure of difference. Second one, measure of association. Okay, it is in fact an inaccurate term as effect implies causality, whereas none is actually inferred. Okay, so do not get confused with the term effect because it do not determine the effect. Okay, it just it does not imply the causality. It just represent the size or the magnitude. Okay, with regard to difference, effect size is a way of quantifying the difference between two or more groups. How much is the difference? Okay, for example, with two groups, if an experimental group has received an intervention, whilst the control group has not, then the effect size is a measure of how big the effect or difference is between the two groups, which is something that statistically significance does not tell us. Statistically significance ni referring to the alpha value lah. The significant P, the significant value we compare against alpha. If the significant value is lesser than alpha 0.05, so therefore the difference is significant. If the significant value larger than alpha, so therefore the difference is not significant. Okay, faham that one, Okay. Okay, so this is the effect size that we use to if you want to measure the difference. Okay, the Cohen's D. Okay, Cohen's D is the effect size for the difference. Okay, so based on Cohen ni, he divide the value according to 3 scales, 0 to 0.49 or lesser than 0.49 small effect. Okay, 0.5 to 0.79 medium, 0.8 and above large effect size. Okay, so this is the scale given by Cohen. Okay. Okay, this one, another one is effect size for the association. So in which the effect size for association we use after we run the Pearson moment correlation or Spearman row or rank order correlation. Okay, kita pakai ni bila kita nak determine hubungan ni. Okay. Okay, so this one ni dia ada Guildford rule of thumb. Saya tak letak kat sini. Ada kot kat sini. Ni, tak apa lagi. Okay. Nanti saya copy balik letak kat sini. Okay, so to determine the effect size for the association, most of the time we use Guildford rule of thumb. There is another one actually, but it's okay. I just introduce you with the Guildford rule of thumb. Okay, kalau the effect size for the difference tadi kita guna Cohen D, but for effect size for association we use the Guildford rule of thumb. Okay, peraturan ibu jari Guildford. Okay, so the scale that he proposed is if the value of R, this one correlation coefficient. Okay, so nama analisis yang kita akan pakai adalah Pearson correlation, Pearson product moment correlation. But the name of the symbol here, the perkali here, the value here, the name is Pearson product moment correlation coefficient, perkali korelasi. Okay. Okay, based on the Guildford he proposed the 5 scales. The first one, if R value lesser than 0.2, if R value lesser than 0.2, the association considered to be negligible or very low. Okay, almost negligible, almost boleh diabaikan. Okay, if the value range, if the correlation coefficient value range from 0.2 to 0.4, remember 0.2, 0.2, not 1, not 2, 0.2. If the value range from 0.2 to 0.4, okay, the association considered to be low relationship. If the value range from 0.4 to 0.7, it's considered to be moderate. Okay, if the value range from 0.7 to 0.9, height relationship, and if the value above 0.9, very height relationship. So you need to recall saya rasa saya dah sebut dah sebelum ni. Okay, in association, the highest value of relationship is 1, the smallest is 0. Okay, 1 ni represent the complete relationship between A and B. 0 ni means the absence of the relationship between A and B, between the two variables. Tapi dia ada lagi satu negative 1 ni. Okay, but the negative here only indicate the direction of the relationship. Either the relationship is a positive relationship or negative relationship. Okay, symbol here just indicate the direction of relationship. It does not influence the magnitude of the relationship. Clear? Clear? Okay. Next one. Okay, so inferential statistics. So we are done with the descriptive, I thought. Okay, so inferential statistics strive to make inferences and prediction based on the data gathered. So they infer or predict population parameters or outcomes from sample statistics based on probability. Okay, so in inferential statistics ni, it will include hypothesis testing. Okay, so hypothesis testing ni only can be developed if you have any inferential analysis. Okay, if you have any inferential analysis, maksudnya kalau untuk descriptive, you all takkan ada hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis ni only applicable for analysis that involve regression and multiple regression, which is the highest level of analysis in statistics. Then if you have any objective on correlation, or you have objective on difference between the two groups, or you running the factor analysis and structural equation modeling. This one is for the highest level lah, for the advanced level. At your level 3 ni je. Okay. Okay, and then inferential statistics is more powerful compared to descriptive statistics. Okay. Okay, so these are a few types of inferential statistics. First one is if you are interested to compare between the two groups, as what I indicated earlier, among the statistics that you can use is t-test. T-test ni we use if the group that we are going to compare only two. Maksudnya ada dua sahaja group yang kita nak compare. Okay, for example, we want to compare between male and female. Dua group. Okay, then okay, t-test ni ada 3 jenis. Okay, there are 3 types of t-test. One sample t-test, independent sample t-test, and dependent sample t-test. So three types of t-test. One sample t-test ni is a types of t-test. It's a type of analysis we use when we conduct a study, okay, that involve one group. We conduct a study that only involve one group, okay, and then after we completed our study, we get the mean value for our group, and then later on we compare these findings against existing data. For example, the scale for climate change. Okay, global climax. Contohnya, global climax they has been studied internationally, and then they already post a standard value. Contohnya, dia ada value standard dia kat sini. Okay, and then we conduct a study on our own. Okay, and then we got the value, then therefore we compare with the standard value. Ini one sample t-test. Sebab apa? Because we only conduct one study that involve one sample. But the result ni we compare against the standard value. Okay, the value that already existing. Okay, clear? Any question for one sample t-test? Ada soalan? Tak ada. Okay, next one is independent sample t-test or independent group t-test. So independent group t-test ni we conduct a study among one group juga. Okay, but inside that group there are two groups. Inside that one group ni there are two groups that are independent from one and another. For example, male and female. Okay, male and female ni dia tak berkait antara satu sama lain. Okay, male and female, dia tak berkait. Male is male, female is female. Okay, so we compare between male and female, for example. Okay, so because the two group male and female is independent, it does not influence each other. So therefore, the name is t-test, independent sample t-test. Okay. Then next one is dependent sample t-test. Dependent sample t-test ni we use if let's say we run, we conducted a study that involve one group, but the group ni dia ada pre and post. For example, training. We conduct a training. Okay, so the training, the result from pre-study. Okay, pre-study will then ada treatment here. Okay, and then post. Then we compare again between the result post, pre-test, and post-test. So that's why the name is dependent sample t-test. Okay. So next one. Okay, another analysis that we can use to compare between the groups is one-way ANOVA. If in t-test just now, it only involved the two groups, either one sample t-test, dependent sample t-test, and independent sample t-test. It's only involved two groups, comparison of two groups. But in one-way ANOVA, the comparison involved more than two groups. Okay. One-way ANOVA ni, we are interested to compare more than two groups. For example, you are interested to compare performance in DCE3004 between races. Okay, Chinese, Indian, Malay. So you want to compare between three different groups, three or more. Okay, more than two. Okay, a one-way ANOVA will compare the means of three or more levels with one another in order to determine if any significant differences exist between or among them. So ini di situasi bila kita guna one-way ANOVA. Okay, then to develop the hypothesis related to the differences, this is the example. Okay, so when you want to prepare your hypothesis, you should start with the null hypothesis. Okay, bila nak develop research hypothesis, start dengan null hypothesis. Jangan start dengan research hypothesis. Okay. Okay, and then this is the general example of hypothesis for differences. Hypothesis, null hypothesis ni will indicate the hypothesis of no difference. Meanwhile, the research hypothesis will indicate the hypothesis of the difference. Example, H0, there is no statistically significant difference between males and female students in the results of research methodology. Okay, then our research hypothesis will be there is a statistically significant difference between male and female students in the results of research methodology classes or club course. So this is the example of hypothesis for the differences. Okay, next one is association. Okay, this one is to determine the relationship or association between the two or more variables. Okay, so if you use the Pearson product moment correlation, so we use when we are interested to assess the nature of the association between the variables. So when it is indicated that we want to assess the nature of the relationship here, the nature of the association here, you should come into your mind two things. Okay, the nature of association ni two things yang you all kena ingat. Okay, first we want to determine the relationship. The relationship, either the relationship is significant or not. Okay, significant association or not. If there is a relationship, the relationship is significant or not. Okay, the second one, we interested to know the direction of the relationship. Okay, first kita nak tahu ada hubungan ke tak antara A dengan B. Okay, then either the relationship is significant or not. The second one, we are interested to know the direction. Okay, so kat sini first kita nak tahu the magnitude. How much is the relationship, and then the direction of the relationship. So ingat bila sebut the nature of the association ni, if there is a question asking you explain the nature of the relationship between the two variables, so the answer must be these two components. the magnitude and the direction. The magnitude ni will reflect the Guildford rule of thumb. The direction ni will reflect either the relationship is negative or positive. Okay. Okay, so you need to remember that correlation does not imply causation. Association does not imply causation. You may have an association between A and B, but we cannot conclude that A influence or affect B. Okay, dia benda yang tak sama. Okay, so to describe the association ini, we describe by index of association, which is Pearson R or Pearson coefficient. Okay, nama dia per kali korelasi, Pearson coefficient. Okay, a correlation coefficient is a statistic that quantifies the extent to which two variables, X and Y, are associated and whether the direction of their association is positive, negative, or zero. Okay, so the R value again range from -1 to +1. But the highest value of correlation is 1, the smallest is 0. Negative or positive just indicate the direction of the relationship. Again, if you want to interpret the value of R, Pearson R, you need to be based on the Guildford rule of thumb. If the R value equals to 0.78, so therefore the relationship considered to be apa dia? If the correlation coefficient R equals to 0.78, therefore the correlation, the association considered to be unique
High relationship.
High relationship. Very good, Nick. Okay, itu cara kita nak baca based on the table. Okay, next one is Spearman rank order correlation. So the value dia punya representation is RS. RS ni represent the Pearson rank order or Spearman rank order correlation. Okay, again, the Spearman rank order ni is a non-parametric statistic that we already discussed in the past slides. Okay, it's calculate a correlation using ordinal data that have been ranked or mana dah? Or interval data that does not meet the assumption of normality. So ini pun saya dah discuss last time. We use the Spearman rank order correlation most of the time because of the data are in ranking form. Okay, dalam bentuk ranking, or we use this Spearman rank order correlation if our interval or ratio data does not meet the assumption of normality. Okay, similar to Pearson correlation. Spearman rank order correlation also, Spearman rank order correlation coefficient also range from -1 to +1. So negative, positive just indicate the direction. The highest value of correlation is 1, the smallest is 0. Okay, so similar to Pearson product moment correlation, if you want to describe or interpret the Pearson the Spearman rank order correlation coefficient, it must be based on Guildford rule of thumb. Okay, so then you can indicate interpret the value accordingly based on this table. Okay, next one is statistic that showing the showing the prediction. Okay, which is simple linear regression and later on multiple linear regression. Ada tak? Ada. Tak apa. Okay, simple linear regression is an extension to Pearson product moment correlation. So maksudnya bila dia kata extension to Pearson product moment correlation, meaning that if you want to use simple linear regression or multiple linear regression, your data must fulfill the requirement of normality. Meaning that your data must be in interval or ratio scale of measurement and then it must fulfill the requirement of normality. Okay, it involves examining changes in the level of Y relative to changes in the level of X. Okay, the purpose of using simple linear regression is to determine the relationship between the two variables, which is between the IV and DV. And the second objective is we want to make prediction equation. Okay, prediction equation of Y, which is our DV based on X or our IV. Okay, so this is the regression equation that we want to establish. Okay, if you may recall, during your secondary school, you learned about the graph, this graph. Okay, X, Y. Okay, so then this is the straight line. Okay, so the name here is, apa dan name-nya? Y-intercept. Here is Y-intercept, right? Ni apa dia ni? Slope. Okay, so the equation is Y equals to mx plus c, right? Betul? So here ni, slope ni c lah kan? Sorry, this is Y-intercept ni equals to c. Okay, c. C ni equals to the value where the straight line touch the y-axis. So this is y-intercept. C ni equals to y-intercept. Y-intercept equals to the value where the straight line touch the y-axis. Okay, so M ni equals to slope, kecerunan. Okay, X ni equals to constant. So it's similar to this equation. Now we just change the representation. C ni becomes B naught, which is y-intercept. B1, X1, B1 is the slope, X1 is the constant. Okay, so similar to what we already learned during our secondary school. Okay. Okay, so when you want to determine the relationship, so this is the example of hypothesis that you can use. Okay, again, make sure you indicate your null hypothesis first. Okay, hypothesis of no relationship, and then our research hypothesis will indicate the relationship. Okay, for example, there is no statistically significant correlation between supervisor support and employee job performance. That one is our null hypothesis, and then our research hypothesis will be there is a statistically significant correlation between supervisor support and employee job performance. So this is the example of hypothesis for relationship. So any questions so far? Ada. Okay, just to remind everybody, okay, just to remind everybody. Okay, I am not your moving dictionary. I am not your moving dictionary. So when I teach you during the lecture, so listen carefully, and then if you have any problem during my lecture, then you may ask. Okay, but I won't respond to you if you have any problem while doing your assignment, only then you want to ask. Because I know that most of the lecture note, my lecture note already covers all the information that you need to do your FYP. Semua lecture note saya dah ada dah. So now tolonglah, rajinlah buka lecture note. Okay, dah lah you all ni sangat susah untuk respon bila ditanya. Saya pun tak tahu kenapa. I know that you are very exhausted while using the virtual media. Semua orang exhausted. Not you je. Okay, what I'm doing right now, because I know that when you do your final year project paper later on, there will be no guideline like this. Okay, then believe me, I won't entertain you. I will no longer entertain you like this. Bila you, even your supervisor pun takkan entertain you sangat. Believe me, you have to be very independent. Okay, during your final year project paper. So when I teach you, it's not just for the purpose of this class. I'm preparing you for your final year project paper, which I know very well that your supervisor will not really supervising you closely. Okay, dia takkan ada perjumpaan weekly, dia takkan tunjuk satu-satu no, no and no. Okay, that's why saya ajar sedetail-detail yang boleh. I'm doing my best to prepare you for your final year project paper. Okay, not just for the purpose of the class. Okay, this is beyond the class pun. Apalah, BP pun macam tak ada kesan je. Okay, so next one is approaches to qualitative data. Okay, so these are among the software that you can use to analyze your data, your qualitative data. But just to let you know, different with quantitative data, in which in quantitative data we can use the statistical analysis to help us to run the analysis. But for qualitative data, okay, the Atlas TI and Vivo is only a tool that assists you. It will not run the analysis for you. It's just a tool that assists you. In terms of finding the category, the themes, and so on, you still have to do it by yourself. Okay, dia tak sama dengan quantitative data. So Atlas TI and NVivo ini adalah among the two most popular tools that you can use to help you or to facilitate or to assist you in analyzing your qualitative data. Okay, so data processing and preparation. I thought some of you maybe already learned during the Dr. Raihan's class, but I just highlight a little bit more regarding the data analysis. So data in terms of data processing and preparation, we start with raw data, which is scribbled field notes or recording, or you have the transcript with you. Transcript means that the outcomes of the interview and then you transform into the written form. Okay, itu transcribe. So the raw data, either the scribbled field notes or recording or the transcribe must be processed before they are available for analysis. Okay, field notes must be converted into write-ups, either typed directly or transcribed from dictation. Okay, daripada recording tadi tu kita kena proses, kena transform dulu from the recording into the written form. Okay, so a write-up is an intelligible product for everyone, not just for the field worker. It can be read, edited for accuracy, commented on, coded and analyzed. So that's why we need to transform our raw data into the written form. Sebab kita nak betulkan ejaan, kita nak nak check accuracy. Okay, we want to comment, we want to find the theme and so on. We want to code, analyze and so on. It must be based on the written document. Okay. This is a general steps in qualitative data analysis. First, we start with becoming familiar with the data. So after you have the written form, which is the transcribe, you have to be very familiar with your data. How you are going to be very familiar? You need to read your data first without any intention for analyze. Baca dulu the transcribe. Okay, read the entire transcripts several times and compare them to the audio recording. Baca, read and compare to your audio recording to ensure the accuracy of the transcribing process. Okay, make notes regarding sections of data that is felt were significant. Okay, bila you all dah baca, okay, if you figure out there are significant part, then make notes. Make note, or you can use the highlighter and so on, depending on your style. So qualitative ni dia memerlukan banyak effort. It requires a lot of effort. Okay, compared to the quantitative data. Okay, step number 2, you generate the initial codes. Okay, determine the codes. Okay, you provide initial codes within each participant transcript. Okay, compare the codes with theory. Okay, compare the codes with theory that you found in your chapter 2. Okay, and then coding can be done manually on the computer, electronically highlighting specific data excerpts and designating relevant codes beside each selection. Okay, so ini adalah step yang you all boleh guna to determine the first code. Then next one, searching for themes. Tema tadi code and now themes. All of the codes must be reviewed and sorted so that groups of related codes, okay, either form main themes or sub-themes or were discarded if not relevant. By sorting the codes into themes, we created a thematic map, effectively outlining the interrelationship between each of the themes and sub-themes generated from the codes. Okay, the last step is reviewing the themes. Refine the themes, make sure that there was enough supportive data and whether any similar themes should collapse into each other. Okay, so first macam mana kita nak buat? First, readjusted location of any codes that did not fit within a given theme to ensure that each theme form a coherent pattern. Okay, second, review each theme by collapsing or removing themes that were unsubstantiated or lacked distinction. Remove themes that were not relevant to the research questions. Okay. Step number 5, defining and naming themes. Okay, defining and naming themes. Okay, examine the data extracts for each theme and organize them into a coherent and internally consistent account with accompanying narrative. Look at each theme too. Okay, and then resulting in clearly name of determine its relevance to the research questions and their relationship to other themes. Okay, follow the theoretical assumptions. The research question guided the identification of specific themes within the context of the study. Okay, so these are the 5 steps that you can follow. Okay, so any questions so far? Okay, next one. Data presentation. That's going to be the last slide. Banyak sikit for this one. Tapi boleh skip, tak apa. Okay, so the last one is data presentation. Saat lagi saya akan share with everyone on how to run the statistical analysis lah. Okay. Okay, so this is the data presentation. So this is the LO. At the end of the session, students are able to identify strategies to present quantitative and qualitative data, interpret and discuss research findings, and write a research report. By the way, before I forgot, I've seen that still nobody evaluate my teaching assessment. So I do hope that everybody do it soon as possible. Okay, saya rasa untuk yang first hari itu pun you all tak isi, but make sure you isi this time. Okay, make sure isi, because I know that siapa yang tak isi tu sebenarnya saya boleh tahu. Okay, tapi siapa yang isi tu saya tak tahu pun, then I'm not interested to know. But please fill in that teaching assessment. Okay. Okay, for the purpose of data presentation, why do we need to present our data? After we completed our data analysis, now we need to present our data. Okay, so why we need to present our data? The main purpose is we want to tell a story related to aims, objective, and research questions. So we have our objective, we have our RQ at the beginning of our study. Now we want to present the story related to these questions. Okay, kita nak present dia punya ending macam mana. Okay, so we can use different ways to ensure meanings are clear. Okay, dia sebenarnya data presentation ni salah satu cara untuk we communicate. Okay, we communicate our result. So in terms of communicating ni, we can communicate our finding ni either graphically or verbally. Okay, so we need to make sure that adequate information prepared but not overload. We provide the adequate information but not overload. So therefore, before presenting the data, we select the necessary data only. Okay, macam mana kita nak pilih nanti kita belajar, kita ajar. Okay, so in terms of data presentation, ways of communicating and displaying the analyzed data, we can present based on graph. For example, you use the PP plot, okay, QQ plot, box plot, contohnya. Okay, or you can use text, meaning that you present your data in paragraph, okay, or tables. Okay. Okay, for quantitative data, descriptive statistics, so the univariate case, which is one variable. Okay, for example, we can use picture techniques. For example, we use the frequency distribution, in which we are going to show how many people or animals or objects were similar in the sense that measured on the dependent variable, they end up in the same category or had the same score. So types of frequency distributions include simple frequency distribution or group frequency distribution. So this is the example of simple frequency distribution in terms of the table. Okay, when you want to write down a table, the name of the table should be at the top. The name of the table should be at the top. Okay, as a reference, you may refer to the 7 APA style, 7 American Psychological Association style. Okay, so in terms of writing, preparing your final year project or for the purpose of the class, make sure you follow that 7 edition of APA style. Okay, edisi ke-7. Again, when you want to write the name of the table should be numbered and then it should be located at the top of the table. Okay, and then in terms of lining the table, okay, The line ni only appears for the when you prepare the heading. Okay, the heading dua-dua ada. Okay, and then the bottom of the table. Itu sahaja. Left right there will be no lines. Tak ada lines. Okay, ini adalah format yang kita guna. Okay, and then in terms of spacing, all tables must be single spacing. Table must be single spacing. When you prepare the report for this class as well as for your final year project paper, the table should be single spacing. Okay. This is example for group frequency distribution. Okay. Just to let you know. Okay, ni okay. Ni tak ada masalah. Okay. Okay, tak apa. Okay, or stem and leaf display. Stem and leaf display ni like a group frequency distribution that contains no loss of information. Stem showing the lowest score of each interval, and stem width, which example 10, which this means we should multiple each stem by stem number by 10 as we interpret the data. So this is the example of stem and leaf display. Okay, kita akan nampak benda ni biasanya dalam when we run the normality. Biasanya kita dapat lah. Okay. Ini stem and leaf display. Table juga. Okay. Okay. Next one. Histogram. Okay. Histogram is a vertical column or thin lines that are used to indicate how many times any given score appears in the data set. The baseline, which is the horizontal axis, is leveled to the correspond with observed score, and the dependent variable, whereas the vertical axis is labeled with frequencies. So column or lines are positioned above each baseline value to indicate how often each of these scores was observed. So tall bar indicates a high frequency of occurrence. A short bar indicates that the baseline score turned up infrequently. So this is the example of histogram. Okay. Okay, tadi untuk table. Now for figure. Okay, the figure also need to be numbered. Okay, and then the name of figure should be located below the diagram. Okay, the name of the figure should be located below the diagram. Table, the name of the table should be located at the top of the table, but for the figure, it must be located below the figure. Okay, next one is bar graph, in which is almost identical to a histogram in both form and purpose. The only difference between these two techniques was summarizing data concern, the nature of the dependent variable that defines the baseline. So in a histogram, the horizontal axis is labeled with numerical values that represent a quantitative variable. Meanwhile, the horizontal axis of a bar graph represent different categories of a qualitative variable. So in a bar graph, the ordering of the column is quite arbitrary, whereas the ordering of the columns in a histogram must be numerically logical. So this is the example of bar graph. Dia lebih kurang sama dengan histogram. Okay. Next one, frequency distribution in words. Okay, so information of a frequency distribution can also be presented in words rather than in a picture. So this is the example. The respondent range in age from blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is the example. Okay. Next one, distributional shape. Hold on, minum air kejap. Okay, so normal distribution shape ni we already learned when we discussed about normality last time. Okay, the first one, normal distribution, in which most of the scores are clustered near the middle of the continuum of observed score, and there is a gradual and symmetrical decrease in frequencies in both directions, left and right. Okay. And then data sets that are normally distributed are said to resemble a bell-shaped curve, because a side drawing of a bell begins low on either side and then bulge upward in the center. Okay, so selain daripada you prepare in the skewness and kurtosis value, you also can prepare the normal distribution to indicate that your data are normally distributed. Okay, the second one is skewed distributions. So most of the scores end up being high or low, with a small percentage of scores strung out in one direction away from the majority, either on the left side or on the right side. Okay, skewed distributions are not symmetrical. Dia tak sama kiri dengan kanan. Okay, if the tail of the distribution formed by the small percentage of score strung out in one direction, which is points toward the upper end of the score continuum, the distribution is said to be positively skewed. If the tail points toward the lower end of the score continuum, which is on the left side, so the term negatively skewed applies. Okay, yang ni kita refer kepada tail. If the tail located on your left side, so meaning that it is negatively skewed. If the tail ni located on the right side, then it is a positively skewed. So this is the example of negative skewed. Okay, so kita tengok tail dia ni, this one. Ni. So the tail is located, directed toward negative side, so negative skewed. Okay, this is the measure. Okay, so samalah ni negatively skewed. Kalau kita nak ukur dia punya pula to measure the negatively skewed and positively skewed ni according to the measure of central tendency. Again, measure of central tendency, bila kita sebut je MCT ni, ingat 3 statistik, mode, median, mean. Okay, MCT, bila sebut je MCT, ingat 3 jenis statistik ni, mode, median, mean. Okay, other than based on the skewness and kurtosis, the normality ni also can be determined based on the mode, median, mean values. Okay, mode, median, mean values. If the mean larger than median, then the median larger than mode, it will show that your data are positively skewed. If the value of your mode larger than median, larger than your mean, so that your data is negatively skewed. Ini maksud dia. Okay, kalau mean untuk data you all ni lagi besar daripada dia punya median, dan median dia punya value for median ni lagi besar daripada mode, then your data positively skewed. Dan kalau mode tu, you all punya data tu mode lagi besar daripada median, and the median lebih besar daripada mean, itu adalah negatively skewed. Okay, reporting mean, mode, and median. So this is the example when you want to report the mean. Okay. Okay, next one, measures of variability. Okay, so it indicates the degree of dispersion about the scores. If the scores are very similar, there is little dispersion and little variability. So if the scores are very dissimilar, there is a high degree of dispersion or variability in your data set. If the scores are similar, they are homogeneous. If they are different or dissimilar, the data are heterogeneous. Okay, homogeneous and heterogeneous. Is this measure of dispersion? Measure of this, bila sebut MCT, kita ingat mean, mode, and median. Bila sebut measure of dispersion, ingat range, standard deviation, and variance. Okay, 3 statistik tu. Okay, next one, box plot. Okay, box plot ni referring to the degree of variability within a data set is summarized with a picture. Okay, it shows graphically the variability in the data. The positions of the rectangles n are determined by and the upper and lower quartile point. Okay, 2 vertical lines, sometimes called the whiskers, are drawn to show variability beyond the 75th and 25th percentiles. Okay, so this is the example of box plot. Box plot ni pun biasa kita boleh guna untuk to determine the data normality. Boleh juga guna. Okay, so reporting standard deviation in type. So this is the example when you want to report the standard deviation, you just indicate in the bracket. Nah, ini je, simple je. Okay, now quantitative data. First, scatter plot. Okay, scatter plot has a horizontal axis and a vertical axis. Horizontal, vertical. These axes are labeled to correspond to the two variables involved in the correlation analysis. So scatter plot ni biasanya ada bila kita buat correlation ataupun regression analysis. Okay. So correlation coefficient, yang ni dah sentuh dah tadi, so saya rasa boleh skip lah this one Correlation matrix. This is the table. Most of the time we use when you want to present your correlation data, so we present in this form, correlation matrix form. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ni, it represent this variable on your left side ni. 1 is idea generation, 2 is openness, 3 conscientiousness, 4 extraversion, 5 agreeableness, 6 neuroticism. Okay, so how to read the table? Okay, first the value, the correlation between similar variable will always be 1. Okay, the correlation coefficient value of the similar variable will always equals to 1. For example, 1, 1. Macam mana nak baca table ni macam ini Okay. To help you read the table, you draw the line. You draw this line. Okay. Okay, first. Okay, as I said, the correlation between two similar values will always equals to 1. For example, correlation between idea generation and idea generation. So 1 indicate idea generation Why they use 1? Because if they pronounce idea generation fully here, probably it will be out of space. So that's why we use the legend here. Okay, sebab tu kita gunakan legend. Okay, so the relationship between idea generation and idea generation is 1. 1 because, as I said, the correlation coefficient between two similar variables will always equals to 1. Okay, now the relationship between idea generation and openness. Idea generation and openness. So this is the value. Openness and idea generation. See this one, idea generation, IG. This one openness, this one conscientiousness, this one extraversion, this one agreeableness, this one neuroticism. Okay. So the relationship between openness and idea generation is 0.1. R equals to 0.1. So based on Guildford rule, okay, first the direction of relationship is positive or negative? Anybody want to try? Susahnya lah you all ni. Saya tak tahulah nak buat macam mana. Kenapalah kelas you all ni macam susah sangat. Takkanlah semua tak ada speaker. Takkanlah semua rosak speaker tiba-tiba.
Positif tu.
Apa dia?
Positif.
Okay, so the relationship is positive. Okay, in terms of strength of the relationship is how much? How many? How many is the strength of the relationship? If we base on the Guildford rule of thumb, recall balik.
Very low.
Berapa ni?
Very low.
Very low or negligible relationship. Okay, so now to elaborate the relationship, so we can say that there is a positive and negligible relationship between openness and idea generation. Itu macam mana kita boleh baca. Then you may indicate that R value equals to 0.1 in the bracket. Okay, so next one is the relationship between conscientiousness and idea generation, which is the value is negative 0.04. So in terms of direction, the direction of the relationship is
Negative.
negative. Okay, and then in terms of the strength of the relationship is
Low.
negligible relationship. So in wording form, we can say that there is a negative and negligible relationship between conscientiousness and idea generation. Okay, next one is the relationship between extraversion and idea generation. Okay, so still line yang sama lagi. Okay, so since the value is 0.22, so we can say that there is a positive relationship between extraversion and idea generation. In terms of the strength of association, okay, it considered to be apa dia?
Low relationship.
Low relationship. Very good. Ni tak ada kosong ni, tak ada hubungan. Okay, kalau kita tengok yang the highest, which is this one. Okay, this one. Okay, so based on the value, the direction of the relationship is apa dia? The direction of the
Negative.
negative. Very good. Negative relationship. Okay, and then in terms of the strength, the magnitude of the relationship, 0.39.
Low
Low.
relationship.
Low.
Low relationship. So what we can say is there is a negative and low relationship between neuroticism and extraversion. So maksudnya if we transform into the diagram, dia macam ni. So kalau this is our X, which is neuroticism, and then our Y is extraversion. So the relationship will go like this, ke bawah. Semakin tinggi neuroticism, okay, the extraversion ni will decrease. The higher the neuroticism, okay, the extraversion will decrease. Ini maksud dia hubungan dia negatif. Okay, and then the relationship considered to be low. Okay, sudah boleh baca dah. Okay, next one. Okay, this is how to present your t-test result. Okay, to present your t-test result. This is the example. You will tengok nanti. Okay, association between the two variables. Okay, so tadi bila saya kata the p-value referring to this one. Okay, the p-value that we compare against alpha equals to either 0.01 or 0.05. Okay, most of the time we use 0.05. In your final exam questions, if nothing indicate in your question that you use 0.05 as your alpha value. If it is specifically indicated that you should use 0.01, then use 0.01. Okay, so how do we want to determine either the association is significant or not? We compare this value against alpha. If the value here lesser than alpha, so the result is significant. If this value lesser than alpha, the result considered to be significant association. But if the p-value here larger or equals to alpha, therefore the result is not significant association. So kalau you all tengok sini, since the significant value or the significant p equals to 0.037, so the value is lesser or larger than alpha? Anybody?
Less.
Less than. So therefore there is a
Significant.
significant relationship between A and B. Okay, so correlation coefficient ni kita gunakan untuk interpret either the direction is positive or negative, in which in the case ni positive relationship, nothing mention in front ni. So maksudnya kita kena faham itu positif, and then to interpret the magnitude ni we refer to the Guildford rule of thumb table. Okay, so which in current state it is negligible relationship because below than 0.2. Okay, clear boleh baca sebab nanti dalam final exam there will be questions asking about coefficient correlation values. Okay, this is another correlation matrix. Okay, which I'm sure that you already know on how to read this one. Okay, another thing is the asterisk here. Ni. Okay, this one ni you refer to the notes located below the table. If one flower, okay, if one asterisk here, it will indicate correlation is significant at the 0.001 level of significant. Okay, kalau ada dua flower biasanya 0.05. So you all tengok balik kat sini. Bila nak baca table ni, you all tengok keseluruhan table. Okay, tengok ni. Kalau ada satu flower atau ada there is only one flower, 2 or 3. Okay, dia ada kadang-kadang sampai 4. Okay, point kalau one asterisk ni referring to your data significant at 0.001. Ada juga dua flower 0.05. And so on. Check your legend. Tengok footnote tu. Okay, reporting association in the text. So you all dah ada table. So macam mana nak report? So for example, correlation between social distance score and level of comfortability yielded results of correlation coefficient value 0.304. In bracket, the significant value equals to 0.036. For white participants, and correlation coefficient value equals to 0.49, which is significant value equals to 0.001 for black African participants. Okay, correlation between effective prejudice scores and level of comfortability yielded result of R equals to negative 0.54, significant value lesser than 0.001 for white participants, and R equals to negative 0.44, significant value equals to 0.005 for black African participants. So if you are aware, there are two styles to present your p-value. Okay, the R value ni memang you all kena present the exact value as you found in your table. But for the p-value, there are two options. Either you present the actual value or you present the lesser kind value. Up to you. Dua-dua boleh. Okay, kedua-dua style ni diterima. Okay. Next one, this is the result for multiple linear regression. And then this is the exact table, the exact way how you can present the regression table. Okay, this one is multiple linear regression. Okay, just to let you know, simple linear regression is what is the regression analysis that we use when we want to make the prediction equation that involve only one IV and then one DV. Okay, simple linear regression is a statistical analysis that we use when we want to calculate a prediction equation that involve only one IV and then one DV. Okay, meanwhile, saya punya ni. Okay, the multiple linear regression ni pula we use, dia actually it's the extension of simple linear regression. In multiple linear regression, the statistic ni we use when we have several IVs. Okay, multiple, kalau dia ada satu IV, satu DV, dia adalah simple linear regression. But if the analysis involve more than one IVs and then one DV, so the name is multiple linear regression. Okay, dia lebih daripada satu IV. Kalau untuk multiple linear regression, DV still lagi satu. Okay, so how you want to present the result, this is exactly how the table should looks like. Okay, you need to present the model, okay, the constant value, your variable, and then the unstandardized coefficient, which include the B value, unstandardized beta value, and then standard error. Okay, and then next one, standardized coefficient beta. Okay, the T value, the significant value, and then the 95% confidence interval for beta, which is lower bound, upper bound. This part is optional. Kalau sampai you all present sampai sini pun dah cukup. Okay, this part is optional. Okay, so sekarang ni, next one, you need to present the F value, significant F, R value, R square, and adjusted R square value. Sekali lagi saya explain apa maksud all the values ni. Okay, details you will learn if you attend the data analysis class with Dr. Ashraf. Kalau you all attend tu nanti dia akan ajar lagi detail lah. Okay. Okay. Macam mana nak baca So if you may recall the equation, the regression equation y equals to b0 plus b1 x1. This one is for simple linear regression. But now we have two IVs. How do I know? Based on this one. 1, 2. Constant is not an IV, It's not an independent variable. Okay, how do I know there are two variables in my model? Okay, the name untuk table ni we call it as model. Okay, we call as model. The name is model. Okay, so now based on our model, how do I know that there are two variables, two independent variables? Based on the list here. Okay, ST mean and OS mean. ST mean referring to social trust, OS represent the organizational support. So in my equation, I will add one more. Okay, B2 plus B2x2. So B1 ni represent the ST mean, B2 represent the organizational support. Clear Okay, now first you all draw je dulu you all punya general equation ni. Now, okay, based on the table ni, we want to know either our model is significant or not. First, overall model. Okay, we want to know either our overall model significant. Okay, so how do we know? Okay, bila tengok, when you read, when you see the table, do not yet focusing on the table. Look at the value below the table. Tengok dulu kat sini. Okay, sebab apa kita nak tahu? Because if we have more than one IVs in our variable, we want to know either the overall model tu is significant or not. Okay, so we look at the F value. F and significant F. Okay, we look at the F and significant F. Okay, so now we highlight on the significant F value. The rule is similar. If the significant value, okay, you all jangan confuse tau. Significant F, significant F, significant P, significant P, significant T. They are similar thing, but different statistic. If you use this F statistic, then we should use the significant F. If we use the T, and then we use the significant T. Okay, tapi untuk kedua-dua ni general form is significant P. Ini umum. Maksudnya kalau you all tak nak pakai F or T, then you can use significant P. Okay, yang ni dua-dua boleh pakai. But this one is more specific. Tapi kalau statistik, if the statistic that you use is the T statistic, then you cannot use significant F. Okay, you kena pakai significant T or significant P. Significant P ni adalah kalau you all nak play safe. Okay, clear? Okay, now, apa dah kita? Ada sejam ni. Okay, now, we want to know either our overall model is significant or not. Okay, kita nak tahu model kita, model keseluruhan regression kita ni significant ke tak? Okay, we refer to the F value and significant F. So the rule of thumb similar. If the significant value here lesser than alpha, so therefore the model is significant. Okay, if the significant value larger than alpha of 0.05 or 0.01, so the value, the model is not significant. So now, since our significant value, significant F value equals to 0.000, lesser or larger than alpha 0.05?
Less.
Less than 0.05. So therefore, our model is? Our model is? Dah less.
Significant.
Yes, so our model is significant. Okay, so what does it mean if our model is significant? It means that, okay, bila model kita overall model significant, apa maksud dia? It means that at least one of our variable significantly influence our DV. Okay, at least saya kata bila overall model significant je, kita boleh letak dalam kepala kita, you keep reminding yourself, at least one of our DVs will significantly influence our DV. Ini kat sini kita punya DV ni, PV mean, philanthropic behavior. Okay, so ingat macam tu. Bila dah significant, bila overall model significant, bila F value ni significant, significant F ni significant, at least one of our IVs will significantly influence the DV. Okay. Now, R value ni macam mana nak interpret? Dia sama dengan macam mana kita interpret correlation coefficient as in Pearson product moment correlation. Sama sahaja. Tapi for multiple linear regression kita tak baca je. Kita tak baca ni, kita report je. Kita letak je kat sini tapi kita tak baca. Okay. The main interest is on this one. R square and adjusted R square. Dua ni. Okay. So macam mana kita nak baca R square ni? Okay. R square ni will explain how much or the percentage of variance explain. Ni panjang sini. Explain in how the percentage variance in DV explain by set of IVs. Okay. Okay, so R square ni dia akan explain how the percentage of variance in DV explained by set of IVs. So variance ni dia akan explain, R square ni nama dia adalah coefficient of determination. Kalau R saja nama dia adalah Pearson. Kalau R square ni, capital R ni, the name is correlation, multiple correlation coefficient. Kalau small r, correlation coefficient. Kalau capital R square, the name is coefficient of determination. Okay, nama dia adalah coefficient of determination. Okay, macam mana kita nak baca? How we are going to read the R square is, it will explain the percentage of variance in DV explained by set of IVs. Okay, maksudnya dia akan explain berapa variance dalam DV tu diterangkan oleh set of IVs yang kita pakai ni. Dua ni. Okay. So, macam mana nak baca ni? Kita akan sebut 22.6% of variance in philanthropic behavior is explained by the model, or you may specify your variable, which is social trust and organizational support. Kalau if we draw a pie, contohnya a pie of philanthropic behavior. So for example, this is the philanthropic behavior. Okay, so dekat sini based on 22% ni, gini. 22.6% of variance in philanthropic behavior has been explained by social trust and organizational support. Where's the rest of 81.4? Ni. 76 70. 77 77. Betul? Betul tak?
77.4.
Berapa? 77.4, right? Ha. Dua ni diterangkan oleh social trust and organizational support. Lagi tu 77.4 ni kat mana? Where's the rest? 77.4% can be explained by another variable that not be included in our study. Itu maksudnya. Hak ni je, kajian kita jumpa ni je. Nak berlakunya philanthropic behavior ni, 22.6% ni dia berlaku disebabkan adanya social trust dengan organizational support. Lagi 77.4 ni dia adalah variable pemboleh ubah lain yang kita tak masukkan dalam kajian kita. Ini kita boleh propose kajian lain, kena carilah apa itu variable yang 77.4% ni. Faham? Faham tak macam mana nak interpret the coefficient of determination value ni? Faham
Faham betul.
Okay, next one, kita dah tahu model kita significant. Now we already know that our model is significant. Now we already interpret how much variance our model explain. Now we want to plug in the value into this equation. Okay, the value here, to plug in the value here, it must be based on unstandardized coefficient. Ni. The unstandardized coefficient beta we use in our equation. You just plug in the value into this equation. So kalau kita tengok the value here, so the equation will be y equals to 2.222.233, okay, plus, so this one is the B naught, the constant, B1 X1. So the B1 is social trust, which is point ni 003x1 plus 0.473 x2. So this is our equation. Okay, base kita ambil to develop our regression equation for our model. So we just plug in the value from unstandardized beta coefficient ni into our equation. Okay, then done. Okay, settle Okay, next one adalah we want to know. Tadi, just now we already know that our model is significant. Our overall model is significant. Now, we want to know which variable between social trust and organizational support that significantly influence our dependent variable. Kita nak tahu, tadi kita tahu keseluruhan model significant, tapi kita tak tahu lagi variable mana yang mempengaruhi DV kita ni secara significant. Now we refer to the standardized coefficient beta. We refer to the standardized coefficient beta slot specifically on T and significant T. Ni, tengok ni dulu. Okay, just ignore the constant value here. Ignore je this one. Okay, focus on this value. Ni. Okay, the T and significant T. Okay, the rule is similar. If the significant T lesser than alpha, therefore the result is significant influence. Okay, kalau the significant value here lesser than alpha, so therefore IV indicated to be significantly influence the DV. Okay, if the significant T larger than alpha, therefore the result is not significant. Okay, so kalau kita tengok sekarang, the T value significant T equals to 0.048, the significant T equals to 0.962, which is larger or smaller than alpha?
Larger.
Larger. So the result is significant or not significant?
Not significant.
not significant. So betul kat sini kita kata therefore the social trust does not significantly influence the philanthropic behavior because the T equals to 0.048, significant T 0.962 larger than alpha. And then if we check the standardized beta here, the value also low. The value also low. Okay. Ni nanti saya ajar balik macam mana nak baca ni. Macam mana nak baca ni lagi. Okay, so ni faham baca ni dulu. Okay, and then now we check the T and significant T for organizational support. So now for the influence of organizational support on philanthropic behavior, the T value is 7.579. Significant T equals to 0.000. The result is significant or not significant?
Significant.
Significant. Why significant?
Sebab less daripada alpha.
Because no, itu bukan jawapan dia. Maksudnya why it is significant? Because the significant T lesser than alpha. Kena sebut macam tu. The significant T lesser than alpha. Therefore, the result considered to be significant. When reporting, you have to you have to report both T and significant T. But when you want to determine the significant, you check on significant value. Okay, dari segi nak report, kena report dua-dua, T dengan significant T. Tapi bila kita nak determine sama ada significant or not, it must be based on significant T. Faham Sama juga dengan tadi ni. Report, bila nak report, kena report kedua-dua. Okay, now, so kita dah figure out which variable significantly influence and which variable not significantly influence. Now, okay, after we know that the OS ni, or organizational support, significantly influence our DV, now we want to know how much it influence the DV. So back to this pie chart. Tadi, in overall, okay, the two variables explain 22.6% of variance in philanthropic behavior. Now, okay, standardized beta coefficient, how we are going to read the standardized beta coefficient is similar to how we read the R-square value. Because this one will explain the percentage of variance explained by individual variable towards the DV. Tadi overall, but this one individual. Okay, so kalau kita tengok organizational support ni, it explain 47.6% out of 22.6% of variance in PB. Faham? Okay, in overall, kedua-dua variable ni dia explain sebanyak 22.6% variance in philanthropic behavior. Okay, tapi daripada 22.6% ni, 47.6% out of 22.6% ni being explained by organizational support, and only 0.3% of variance in 0.3% out of 22.6% of variance in philanthropic behavior has been explained by social trust. Faham tak? 22.6% ni kita develop another pie chart. Okay, in which kat sini 47 ni 47.6% is explained by organizational support. Okay, percent another sikit ni. Another ni 0.3% explained by social trust. 47. What about 56.1? Betul kan? Balance dia 56 kan? Betul ke? Ke 52 kan?
52.1.
52.1. Okay, 52.1 ni error. 52.1% ni error. Dia sepatutnya kalau tak ada tanpa error, if without error, when we add the two value here, it will exactly 100%. 100% ni will represent the 22.6%. Sepatutnya. Tapi impossible when we conduct the study, there will be no error. So maksudnya kalau kat sini dia lesser than 100 tu, the rest tu adalah error. So the percent ni adalah error. Faham? Faham
Faham betul.
Good. Okay, kena faham betul-betul part ni Okay, so next macam mana nak baca yang sebelah ni? Okay, sebelah ni, this one in a 95% confidence interval ni actually will validate this result significant ni. Okay, how to read this table is based on lower bound and upper bound. Range, sebenarnya lower bound and upper bound ni dia adalah range. Yang ni tutup, ini tak ada value ni kita tak nak pakai. Okay, if zero located, rule dia adalah if zero located outside the range. Kalau kosong tu, kita tengok macam mana nak baca table ni, dia based on zero, location of zero, lokasi kat mana kosong berada. If zero located outside the range, the result is significant. But if the zero located within the range, the result is not significant. Okay, and then let's check. Okay, the first value, the range is between negative 0.11 to 0.116. Kalau kita buat graf, dia macam ni. Sini negatif 0.11, hak ni 0.116. Kosong letak ke mana? Where is the location of zero? Inside the range or outside the range?
Inside.
So dia duduk kat tengah-tengah ni. So the result therefore is significant or not significant?
Not significant.
Not significant because the zero located within the range. So dia sama dengan this one. Okay, next one, this one. 0.350 to the upper bound is 0.597. So kalau kita draw, tak ada ruang dah nak draw. Kalau kita draw, okay, ni contohnya. So here is 0.35. Yang ni lagi satu 0.59. You all buatlah 59 kat sini. Okay, so where's the location of zero? Within ke outside?
Outside.
Outside.
Dia duduk kat sini. So therefore the result is significant.
Significant.
So dia validate the finding of this one. Okay, so faham macam mana nak baca table ni? It's a short table but there is a lot of meaning from the table. Okay. Okay, next one. Ada lagi tak? Settle this part. Okay, this one how you can present your finding in wording form. So bivariate regression analysis reveal that. Okay, ini dia cara you all nak interpret the finding. Ni qualitative data ni. Okay, so any questions so far related to quantitative data? Ada masa tak saya nak run quantitative ni? Sikit lagi, tak apa, sikit lagi. Okay, so these are the types of qualitative data. So we have the verbal data, photography, video, observational notes. These are among the types of qualitative data that you can obtain during your qualitative study. Sama ada verbal data, which is recording, okay, based on recording, ataupun foto pun boleh jadi qualitative data, video, okay, the recorded video, then observational notes. Okay, ataupun the field notes. Okay, dia boleh jadi qualitative data. Okay, for qualitative data, these are among the modes that you can use. First, you can use the word table or list. You can summarize or finding, place into matrix or rows and columns. You can present your data based on chronology, aggregate characteristic of people studied or interviewed, list of individual participants in a study, which is usually using pseudonym. So when you conduct a qualitative study, then when you conduct the interview, make sure that you do not reveal the details regarding your informant. Do not reveal details regarding the informant, because when we conduct the study, we need to secure the confidentiality of our respondent. Okay, so in qualitative, because the analysis based on the individual unit of the respondent, so therefore you should use the pseudonym. Pseudonym ni nama lain lah, jangan guna nama sebenar. And their study characteristic, not necessarily routine demographic characteristic. Then you can also use the graphic, which is geographic map, census tract map, spatial layout of a study area, hierarchical chart, for example, organization chart, flow chart, sequence of event over a timeline, or family trees and other schemes. Okay, or photograph. You can also use the photograph, okay, to present your data. And then reproduction, which is of artwork of others' drawing or pictures. Okay. Okay, so this is a typical format of a journal. Okay, make sure you remember the typical journal, the format ni, sebab nanti akan ada during your final exam pun kita akan bagi journal. Okay, you need to answer your question based on the journal. Okay, and then this is a typical format. You need to remember that the format, the journal, dia akan start dengan title, the name of authors, and then the abstract. There will be the introduction part. The introduction part ni will cater the background, statement of problem, or statement of purpose and hypothesis. And then next will be the methods, which is it will describe the participants, the measurement or instrument used in the study, the procedure to collect the data, and then the statistical plans. Okay, and then next one will present the findings or the result, discussion, and lastly the references. Okay, so any questions so far? Ada?
No.
Okay, sebab ni this is our last class It's okay lah. Untuk analysis tu I will share during our lab session lah this week. Apa lagi ya? Okay, regarding the format, okay, for our final presentation, okay, for our final presentation in terms of presentation, I don't think that we have time left. Memang tak ada masa dah sebab kita kehilangan 2 minggu tu, but it should be okay. Because later on I need you to submit me the recording of your presentation. Okay, submit the link ke. Okay, dalam you all punya submit the link or the video within your folder lah, Dropbox folder, recording of your presentation. Okay. Okay, in terms of what should be included, hold on assignment. Nak cari. Mana saya punya evaluation ni? Okay. Okay, in terms of evaluation, it is based on this criteria. Okay, in terms first, it is based on content of your poster. Okay, content first kita akan tengok content, okay, poster display, delivery, general, in general element, and then presenter. Okay, ada beberapa elemen. Okay, sebenarnya last time bila kita buat poster presentation ni dia akan dapat hadiah, tapi tak tahulah, tak sempat lah this year. Okay, for content of poster ni kita akan we will see ada catchy title reflecting content of poster. Make sure that you have your title poster nanti ada title, and the title tu catchy. Catchy ni means that it represent the whole content of your study. Reflect your title to reflect the whole content of your poster. And then research problem clearly stated. Okay, you need to state your the most significant statement of problem, and then context and importance of research demonstrated. Okay, clear and concise materials and methods. Ni dah method, maksudnya method kena ada satu sikit under your dalam you all punya poster tu ada statement of problem and then objective, and then kena ada clear and concise material and method, maksudnya design which is will contribute 10 marks, results easily interpreted. Okay, the way you present your result tu is easily been interpreted by the reader. Conclusions to the point corresponding to problem. Conclusion yang you all buat ni kena in alignment with your research problem, and then key terms defined and jargon avoided. You do not use any short form and so on. Okay, kalau guna then you provide the legend. Okay, and then grammar, spelling, punctuation. Okay, make sure you check this one, and then appropriate amount details. Dia tak perlu banyak tapi appropriate. Okay. Kalau you nak ambil gambar, ambil gambar. Okay, and then in terms of poster display, okay, in terms of overall appeal, balance, composition, catchy. In terms of color, in terms of font size, okay, contribution of colors to understanding, not distracting. Okay, so make sure you use a balanced color mixture. Okay, font size in terms of style, dari segi font, in terms of size, style and quality. Maksudnya bila you all buat poster tu, quality tu kena terang, quality tu jenis satu, font size tu kena sesuai, style tu kena catchy dengan mata, dan quality tu kena jelas. Highlighting of major concept, okay, legible pictures, figures and legend. If necessary, as what I said, you can use the infographic to present your finding. Not necessarily everything should be presented in a table. Effective use of space. Okay, semua space dalam tu, ruang dalam poster tu diguna dengan sebaik mungkin. And then figures convey results effectively, which is simple and to point. Okay, in terms of delivery, short to point presentation conveying take home message. This one is overall presentation lah. Okay, and then general, simplicity appropriate for audience, strict storyline in a logical order, clear take home message. Okay, in terms of presenter, so make sure when you want to send a video, you bet for the best presenter for your team. Okay, bet for the best presenter. Okay, so I will check on the language skills and pronunciation. Make sure it is clear. Eye contact and position outlook. Eye contact ni meaning that even though you present through virtual, but I don't want you to keep looking at the notes. Terpulanglah macam mana? Maksudnya I know that you know what you are presenting. Okay. Presentation within the time limits. Okay. Answering question if any. Kalau saya ada soalan nanti saya akan tanya. Suitable attire and appearance. Okay, so these are the elements that I will consider lah. But last time actually when we did our final project exhibition ni, there will be a winner for the poster presentation tu. Dia akan ada because it been evaluated by external evaluator. Tapi this year tak dapat lah kot, tak sempat. Okay, memang tak sempat this year. Apalah, bukan rezeki you all. Okay, so these are the elements that will be measured for your poster. Okay, and then in terms of example of the poster, okay, let me share. Last year punya. Yang the best punya adalah daripada not Shimpe. Mana? Lab berapa? Betul. Saya tak ingat grup berapa. Tapi ni antara contoh lah. This is an example for a qualitative study poster. Okay, this is the example. Okay, the abstract. Okay, so you may also present your abstract, background of the study, statement of problem, literature review, method, okay, findings based on RQ. Okay, after those who attended the qualitative data analysis yesterday, probably you got the idea. Okay, based on your RQ ni, you just present the themes, Macam ni dia buat findings, the conclusions and then the references which you think necessary, and then provide specific detail email. Ni. Ni pun cantik. This one for qualitative study lah. Okay, this is the overall dia buat. Okay, let me check for another one. This one qualitative. Okay, qualitative ni for your in terms of your finding, you look for the themes, fit themes, and then you may present the code. Tengok dia buat cantik this one ni. This is based on your senior lah. Okay, next one. Siapa lagi ya? Ada seorang tu. Shimpe ke? Tak ada, dia orang dah tak share. Banana, let me look at it. Oh, Banana, looking for next example. This also quali. Let me check for quanti. Okay, this is GIE. So this is one of the best. Not one of the best lah. This is the best for last year. GIE. Influence of job performance appraisal system on employees' job performance at a private organisation in Selangor. Okay, so this is the author. They prepared the abstract, the introduction, the problem statement, the objective. Okay, they present it in diagrammatic or infographic form, the hypothesis. Okay, they present the theories. Okay, they are able to explain the theories very well. Okay, they just present in the poster, they present in short form, tapi dia boleh explain very clear, very good. Okay, and then research framework, this is, they present their research framework. Okay, and then the method. Okay, macam mana dia buat ni cantik. Populasi, sample size determination, they present. Okay, sampling strategy. Okay, what they use to conduct the sampling strategy, then instrument and questionnaire, data analysis. Okay, they present the summary for data analysis according to their research objective. They conduct the pilot study. Okay, and then for the purpose of this class, 15 minit. Okay, for the purpose of the class, because we do not have time to proceed with the actual data collection, we will use data during your pilot study to proceed with the actual finding. Sebenarnya kat sini ni dia orang guna data daripada pilot. Okay, so for your pilot data ni, you will run the Cronbach Alpha, which I will show you how to run this Cronbach Alpha analysis during our lab session later on. Okay, and then based on the data yang ni juga, dia akan gunakan untuk finding ni. Okay, to locate in your poster. Okay, and then they put together the conclusion and lastly the references. References ni sikit je lah, 1, 2 pun cukup. I just want to check, make sure that you do your referencing correctly. Itu saja. Okay, tapi dia punya poster sangat cantik. This is the winner lah last year. The winner for last year. Rasanya dia dapat apa, the team dapat diffuser tu kot, diffuser. All the 3 teams ni, all the 3 members dapat the diffuser tu each. Okay. tapi I'm truly sorry lah, this year kita tak sempat lah nak buat. Okay, it's not because of the gift, because sometimes I really enjoy do such competition with the student. Sebab rasa macam best lah bila kita buat competition tu, tapi this year memang tak sempat lah. Okay, so this is the example. Sangat cantik dia punya combination of colour, cantik. Okay, yang bagi markah tu macam last year bukan saya memang invite orang lain. So yang bagi markah tu bukan bias daripada saya lah dia based on the total marks. Okay, they use the appropriate infographic to present the finding. Okay, so any question? Soalan nak tanya? Yes, satu presenter je. But that's why I said, dia basically it is up to you. Tapi when I give mark tu, I give based on overall lah. If you think that you want to include all the presenters, then you may include all. Because as I said during the lab session presentation tu yang saya nak train semua supaya present. But this one for your final exam ni, for your final assignment, bet for the best presenter for your team. Okay. Pilih the best, atau if you want to, if everybody want to present, then I give mark according to the overall lah. Kalau ada nampak shaking ke, so I will consider that as well. Bet for the best presenter. Kalau you all rasa you are the best, it's okay, just proceed. Okay, any other question? For the poster tu, macam mana For the final assignment, the report, what I mean is the report, final submission will be on the day of our final exam. Final exam pun boleh share lagi ni. Okay, in terms of the final report will be the day of our final exam. Same goes to the poster presentation. Poster, slide, not the slide. The video tu pun sama juga. Video dengan poster tu adalah hari yang pada hari final exam. Okay. Okay, in terms of your poster, kalau sempat you all submit awal for me to review. Saya review dulu. Belum bagi markah lagi, saya review dulu. The elements, okay, and so on. Tapi dari segi colouring, saya will advise, saya tak advise keseluruhan lah. It depends on your creativity. Tapi in terms of content nanti saya akan komen dulu. Sama juga dengan you all punya draft. I will try my best lah to give feedback to everybody before the final submission. To make sure that it is fair to everybody. Okay, tapi saya punya komen sekali sahaja. Saya tak akan revise twice lah. Sekali sahaja. At least saya tengok sekali round untuk semua orang. Okay, for our final exam, final.
Doctor, I just want confirmation. So all the assignment and due we put in the Dropbox our team folder, right?
Yes, team folder.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Tanya mana final exam ni? Mana saya letak? Ni. Okay, so in terms of our final exam will be on 14 February 2021. Duration dia sebenarnya adalah 2 jam. But just to confirm, lepas exam tu you all ada exam lain ke? 14 February. We start from 8:30 until 10:30. On 14 February tu lepas 10:30 tu you all ada exam lagi ke? Ada exam lain tak?
Ada.
So kalau macam tu 2 jam je lah. Tak nak bagi extra tadi, tapi since ada tak apalah. Okay, so there are 2 sections in the paper, in the question paper. So So you have to answer all the questions, section A and section B. Okay, so in section B, so kita akan buat nanti dalam Google Form Okay, so section A ni dia ada 31 questions. 31 saya rasa betul dah 31. Okay, betul 31 question which will contribute to 30 marks lah. Okay, 30 marks. 31 tapi 30 marks. Okay, so yang question 1 until 30 ni, okay, it will cover the overall content. Okay, dia akan cover pemahaman penuh daripada lecture note. Dia tak ada yang spesifik tapi pemahaman penuh. That's why saya tak suka student saya hafal, but kalau you are able to understand, it would be better. Okay. And then next one is section B. Okay, section B ni there are 5 questions. Sorry, bukan 5. 9 questions. 9 questions. Okay, then all of the 9 questions here will be based on one article. Okay, it will be based on one article that will be provided to you later. Okay, based on the article tu, you need to determine the IV and DV, determine the problem based on the article, define the objective of the study based on the article. Okay, look for the theory that been mentioned in the article. Okay, and then part data analysis, sampling, the statistical analysis used. Okay, and then interpreting the descriptive data. Okay, and then as well as reading the correlation coefficient value. Yang tadi yang kita dah bincang tadi, macam mana nak baca correlation coefficient value. Okay, how to come up with the interpretation. Okay, you need to present the magnitude and direction of the relationship. Okay, and then you need to come up with, you need to look for the summary and then your recommendation. Look for the summary. Summary tu tengok dalam artikel tu je. Ada benda yang you just need to copy and paste from the article. Okay, and then the last one tu, the recommendation tu based on your own lah. Okay, itu untuk final exam. Okay, so any question lagi? Ada lagi tak soalan? Itu untuk final. Untuk yang objective question tu, yang 31 tu tak boleh nak share lah because it covers the whole content of research method class. Tapi kalau untuk yang the subjective part tadi, it is based 100% based on the article that will be provided to you during the exam. Okay, so any other question?
Doctor, is there extra time to submit in case our internet not good?
Itulah sebab itulah saya tanya tadi, you all ada exam ke tak selepas tu? You all ada exam, the next exam will be on what time? Sebab tu saya tanya. The next exam tu will be on what time? Will be on what o'clock?
I'm not sure if others take another subject, but for me and for some of us, we don't have any exam after that.
Kalau tak ada, then should be 3 hours lah kot. Okay, well, I will extend another 1 hour. Okay, but memang last time pun saya buat macam tu. Tapi I need to make sure that tak ada exam lah lepas tu. So 3 hours is it enough? But make sure when I say that it is 3 hours from 8:30 to 11:30, submit before 11:30. Okay, 11:28 ke, make sure not exactly at 11:30. Because if you click the submit button at 11:30, you unable to submit. Means that you need, bila you all nak patah balik tu, you return back tu, dia akan kosong balik semua. Make sure when I say that it is 3 hours, submit before 11:30. Okay, 3 hours boleh Okay lah tu. Banyak tu okay tu. Okay, there is okay, make sure don't forget to mark your attendance to Putra Blast, and then make sure do not forget to fill in the teaching assessment. Okay, make sure to fill in the teaching assessment for DCE3004. Yang first half tadi, hari tu pun saya rasa you all tak isi tu. Okay, make sure you fill in the teaching assessment. Saya tahu siapa yang tak isi. Okay, tapi siapa yang isi dan how many that you give to my class tu up to you lah. Jadi saya pun tak nak check lah, up to you. Okay, so any other question? Soalan?
No.
No
Doktor,
Yes.
No, doktor.
Yeah.
regarding the presentation time, did you mention it before?
Is it okay
The
to
limitation.
Is it okay to make it 20 minutes maximum? It is actually, last time we do it as 15-minute presentation, 5 minutes Q&A. Itu biasa yang kita buat lah. Biasa yang kita buat 15 minit untuk presentation. So is it okay 15 minutes saja? 15 minutes. Only exactly 15 minutes. Sebab during your final year project paper nanti pun 15 minutes juga. Maximum 15 minutes lah. About 5 minit tu untuk Q&A. Tapi tak ada Q&A unless I have question to ask to your group. Okay. Okay, dah lah. Okay, for those yang dah boleh running dengan pilot study, please proceed. Okay. So semalam yang tanya tu saya rasa dalam lecture note dah ada. You can proceed with 10 ataupun 30. But since you want to use the data for pilot to be used for our finding, then hopefully maybe you want to proceed with the maximum which is 30. Tapi up to you lah. Dalam lecture note semua dah ada dah sebenarnya. Saya dah bagi tahu dah hari tu. Okay, lagi tak ada dah soalan So we stop here.
Doktor.
Doktor.
Ya.
Regarding our pilot study, we need to use actual targeted respondent, right?
This one, okay. In actual, ni saya bagi tahu yang kalau kajian yang betul-betul dulu. In actual, okay, the sample for your pilot study not necessarily be the actual sample from the population, but you need to make sure that they share similar characteristics. For example, for your actual study, you want to conduct among teachers, secondary school teachers in Selangor. So contoh, for example. But for your pilot, so probably you want to test your instrument among secondary school teachers in Negeri Sembilan. The characteristic similar, secondary school teachers sama, cuma negeri je berbeza. Faham? Okay, but for the purpose of the class, okay, sebab kita sekarang ni memang urgent, tak apa, ambil orang yang sama pun tak apa sebab kita tak proceed dengan actual data collection. Okay?
Okay, what if my study use lecturers among Malaysian public higher education?
Good luck lah. Okay? Try your best. At least get the minimum pun tak apa. Try your best. Okay, try approach lah. Try to just, sebab for your pilot, not necessarily you do the random. Just pick je siapa-siapa yang nak jawab for the time being. Untuk actual, bila you all buat final year project paper, barulah you all buat random untuk actual. Tapi ini pilot, memang tak perlu randomization pun. You can just pick anybody. Faham? For pilot ni, anybody that share similar characteristic with your actual respondent. Faham? Tapi cuma for the purpose of class ni sahaja. Kita guna data daripada pilot untuk actual data collection, actual data. So, untuk kita buat simulation. Tapi untuk yang final, yang actual study, yang betul-betul research, tak boleh. Tak boleh pakai. Okay? Sebab saya nak ajar you all, selain daripada buat pilot tu, nak ajar you all macam mana langkah-langkah nak buat analisis tu. Nak make sure that you are familiar with it so that during your final year project nanti you all dah pandai buat sendiri. Okay? Lagi soalan lagi apa dia?
Doktor, nak recording lecture hari ni boleh doktor?
Okay, sure. Saya pun nak, yang semalam pun saya nak bagi juga tu. Okay, I'll post. InsyaAllah. Okay, so that's all Okay, so that's all. Take care guys. So Assalamualaikum. See you during our lab session. So Assalamualaikum.
Thank you,
Waalaikumsalam.
Doktor.
Thank you, Doktor.
Salam.